My name is Shaye. Welcome to my YouTube channel. We're back to regular scheduled program. As you can tell, I'm back in my normal recording space. I am jet lagged. I, I was close to not recording anything this week, but I am really doing these videos for me and trying to teach myself consistency and discipline in some form through this. So I'm recording. Um, so my solo travel diaries. This is probably going to be the last installation for this period. I may pick it back up when next I travel. I wanted this particular episode to be just an overview of the trip, right? Where did I go? What did I see? And, the good, the bad, the not so great lessons learned, some of which I'd hinted to already. So, where did I go? I was in Lisbon, Madrid, and Barcelona. And I did this over the course of a little over 3 weeks. And I started in Lisbon because I said in past blogs, I went to Portugal in February and I had an exceptional time. So I wanted to go back. I was definitely one of those. It's very rare for me these days to go somewhere and want to go back so soon after, but I wanted to because it was beautiful. I felt inspired. The people were amazing, and I just wanted to really go immerse myself one more time and see if was it a fluke? Will I have similar experiences? What would happen? I did not, at the time I left the US, I did not have Madrid and Barcelona on the list. It was actually supposed to be about a month in Lisbon. But I went back to Lisbon, and now in this experience, without being enamored with just the locale and the area, I was trying to really get a sense of what would it be like to be a local here? What would it be like to be me here? And while I had a great time, the people of Portugal is nice. It's still beautiful. What was missing for me, and I welcome feedback on this because I know a lot of expats are in Portugal. I know a lot of people move over there. At least the parts I was in, right? So I was in Sintra, Cascais, and I might be pronouncing these incorrectly. Sintra, Cascais, downtown Lisbon, and Estrel was another area that I was in. And I saw people of color, but not in the manner that would make me feel entirely comfortable saying, hey, this is really somewhere that, somewhere down the line, maybe retirement. Because that's part of what I do these days when I travel. I'm thinking, like, when I retire, where do I want to be? Um, that this could be a potential opportunity for me because I saw people of color, but they were not thriving in the manner I'm accustomed to, having lived in spaces in the US where a lot of people of color are in various aspects of lives. They're owners, they're business people, they're doing very well. They're successful, they're not just workers, which there's nothing wrong with that. I've been a worker most of my life. But I just wanted to see a variety because when you're like me and you want to call somewhere a home or a second home, you want to be inspired. And it's you can be inspired by other people by all means, but there's just something about seeing people who look like you existing in certain manners in places you want to be. So I didn't get that. And like I said, I might have not gone, I didn't travel all of Portugal. So if there are parts that this exists and I missed it, please share. But the parts that I was navigating, I didn't really see that. So then I got curious about Spain because I'd never been to Spain. Always wanted to go to Spain. And if you know anything about Portugal and Spain, it's pretty close proximity. It's like 2 hours or less flight. And the thing that's appealing about that is, so if you're coming from the US, Portugal is a good entryway into the EU, is what I've been telling everyone, because from there, one, their travel requirements are not high for US citizens or residents. And you could stay there, I think, up to 90 days without any visas or additional paperwork. And once you're in Portugal, hopping through the EU is easier because it's just like domestic flights. You just buy your ticket, hop off the plane, get your bag, and go. So that made me decide to go to Spain. Started in Madrid. Love Madrid. Madrid, my read of Madrid, and I wasn't there that long, I was only there for a few days, was young, artistic energy. It almost gave me like a little bit of New York, but with so much creative energy and youthful, creative energy that I loved it. I loved it. I haven't done deep research, but I'm pretty sure there are universities and colleges all over Madrid. But I enjoyed it. I went to museums out there, just sightsee, people watch for the most part. The only downside with Madrid was, yeah, when I was leaving, the blackout happened, like I said, so that wasn't fun. and we'll talk about lessons learned, but one of the things I learned on this trip was because I was there for so long, and if you're going to do such a long trip, solo traveling by yourself, it is advisable if you're going to a foreign space where the native tongue is not yours, maybe take classes or plan to take classes that could teach you some basic conversational terms. I picked things up along the way, but it would have been a lot easier if I just sat in a class for like a week, a few hours a day. That may have made my life easier. So that's one of the lessons learned I'll give you. So Madrid, while Madrid was fun, I wanted to spend more time. I actually hope to go back again because I think I did 3 days there. The 2 days were great. Like I said, I had a good time, went to museums, did shopping, sightseeing, bought a lot of merch. Can we just say Madrid merch? No one told me. Like out of the three places I went, I think it was the only place I bought like stuff because I don't know if it was the stores I stepped into. I don't know what it was, but everything, and I wasn't a big like, oh, I have to get Madrid stuff, but it's just the way they're designed, the way it's done. It appealed to me. It appealed to like I would wear that. I would absolutely love that. It's just subtle enough, but you could sense like it's clear where you got it from. So I bought a lot of Madrid merch, which is funny because that was the place I spend the least amount of time. So I plan to go back. That last day was chaotic because of the blackout, but you know, didn't plan for that. It is what it is. Then I went to Barcelona for a week, and Barcelona took all my money. Barcelona took all my money. But before we get into Barcelona, the one thing I want to say I enjoyed about navigating Barcelona and Madrid, and I guess Spain in general, is their transit system is so good, at least the one I used. Because I used what would be the equivalent of their metro to hop around within the cities I was in, but I also used their train system to go back and forth between both cities. And it was very easy, it was very user friendly, especially for someone who doesn't speak Spanish. Going to the kiosk by myself and buying tickets was incredibly easy. So just wanted to share that. If there's anyone considering going to Spain and worried about transport and navigating things, it was very easy. And this is me with all my bags and baggages navigating things. I thought it was relatively easy. So kudos to Spain for that. So went to Barcelona, took out my money. Like I said in the last video, I really immersed myself in architecture in Barcelona. So Barcelona gives me art, but like a mature artist scene. It's heavy on architecture and like big sculptural pieces and things like that. While Madrid gave me more like graffiti and like, colorful, vibrant, big pops of art, on walls, on floors, like that. That was my read of Madrid. And in Barcelona, it's the beauty and the details of the old architecture, the buildings, the intricate intricacies that have been built all around the space. So both beautiful in their different ways, but I loved it. But the other thing is like Barcelona and I think Spain in general, I didn't know this. The shopping is insane. The shopping is insane. And after I'd gone through Madrid and, in, in my dramatic sense, I was like, I've suffered. I went through the blackout. I was fight my way out of there, try to catch the first train out, had to like basically tussle my way onto that train. It was that crazy. Maybe if I can insert videos or pictures, I will. I need to learn how to do that. But it was a lot. So by the time I got to Barcelona, I was yearning for just self-care, like enjoyment at its max. I was like, I deserve. That was basically the tone of Barcelona. And I did a lot. I did a lot. I am currently coming to terms with that, but I regret nothing. I regret nothing because, like I said, I deserved. You had to be there to understand what I went through. It's just, it was only a few hours. I get it. Some people have gone through lifetimes of it, but let's not forget, I grew up in West Africa. I get, having to manage certain things and power outages. It's not a first for me, but yet still, when you're on vacation, it's a bit much, by yourself. So in Barcelona, I went shopping. Allah, I will say this, no one warned me that they had a high VAT. And if you're a US citizen or if you've never traveled outside the US, what tends to happen in Europe is whatever you're purchasing usually has built-in taxes. Because you're a US person who's going to go back to the US, you're entitled to the refund of that portion. And I didn't know that Spain went up to like 17%. So if you do the math, first of all, buying things in Europe, for the most part, especially if it's like luxury fine goods, are cheaper. Then you now take 17% off that already cheaper price. It is hard if you're like me who does a lot of girl math and like justifying the enjoyment. I was like, it's practically a 20% off sale on a luxury item. How where in the US are you gonna get that with tariffs? Let's not forget. Y'all heard about the tariffs, you know? So I I went a little hard, but it's fine, you know? So that was Barcelona. I would say again, people were amazing. Food was amazing. The thing that surprised me about Barcelona, aside from architecture, art, and the plethora of shopping options that exist, there's one main street, and the name escapes me, that you could just drive down for hours and hours and shop till you drop, literally, if you're a shopper. Barcelona has that. I heard Madrid has a square that's equivalent to it, but clearly I didn't make my way there in the 2 or 3 days I was there. But what also surprised me about Barcelona was the food selection, not just in that the food was good, but some of the best Italian food I've ever had. And I don't, I haven't done deep research into like the Italian infiltration of Barcelona, if that's a thing, if I just lucked out and just got a fluke, because I had the best pizza I've ever had in my life. And about this time last year, I was in Milan, no knock to Milan. But the pizza I had in Barcelona topped. Like it was just unmatched. Best pizza I've ever had in my life. And it wasn't anything extravagant. It was like a margarita pizza with some salami on it, I think. But it blew my mind. And several other things I had. Of course, I had empanadas. I had, drank sangria like it was juice. Like I said, I was in Barcelona like I deserve. I had a great time. And then I made my way back to Lisbon for a few more days, mostly because I have a friend out there I wanted to see. And then made my way back home. And I will say this about Lisbon. While Lisbon is a great place, like I said, if anyone knows where a lot of the people of color exist and thrive in Portugal, not just Lisbon, please share. I'm still looking for it. But for me, I think the key things I took away from Portugal or Lisbon specifically is great entry point to the EU, great place to kickstart your exploration of the EU. Maybe later in life, it could be somewhere to consider a second home. But if you're still very much in that space where I am, where I'm looking to feed off the energy of the environment I'm in, I just didn't get the read that that would be it for me. So I would definitely go back, but maybe not plan to be there for like 2 weeks because I got bored. That's just the reality of it. Like I got bored after I'd seen all the hilltops and the castles and everything. I was like, what else you got? So that was my trip. So the good was I had a great time ultimately. I had some great memories and experiences, saw some things that not only fed me creativity, fed the creative side of me, but it also just fed my soul in general. It made me come back inspired and even already trying to think of the next trip I would like to have. The not so good, which a lot of it honestly could have been prevented with me not doing what I typically do, which is just dive head in without all the details. But as we've discussed, that is my style. There's nothing wrong with it. I learned through error. I learned through the bull in the china shop kind of vibe. I'm gonna get in there, figure it out. Because if I spend all the time doing all the research, all the detail, the pre-planning, I won't do it. I won't take the trip. So the first thing was my housing issue, right? Which I hinted to in the first series. I had booked a place. I didn't do a ton of research. I saw a little bit of a review. Went there and saw there were issues. I will say this, the thing I like about maybe it was Portugal or just the provider I booked through, they were very quick to respond. They took it seriously when I sent the videos, and my money was in my account like within an hour or two of me calling. So that was good, but not a great way to kickstart a trip. So in hindsight, like I said, maybe do a bit more research, explore a bit more. But also the other side of that is you can research to your eye turns blue, but unless you're physically on site, some things are just you have to be dependent on pictures and narratives. And where I ended up staying, and which is now like my go-to place in Lisbon, is a brand new hotel that wouldn't have never popped up at the time I was researching. So some things are just things happen how they happen on travel. Like I say, you got to be flexible. Another not so good, and this one was out of my control, is the blackout. You couldn't plan for that, you know? You couldn't plan for that. So, but I already talked in the previous episode of how I got over that. Was just you have to just listen when you travel. You just gotta accept things are gonna happen. Have your moment of woe is me, but make it a moment, and then you gotta think of the next thing. What do I need to do? How can I help myself, etc. Because the cavalry is not coming. You are the cavalry when you're solo traveling. There's no cavalry. You gotta figure it out. You know. So there was the blackout. And I would say the other thing was just the language barrier was very apparent in Portugal and Spain. I don't have conversational aptitude for either, language. So that's something that I actually walked away thinking I want to learn. I want to take classes, whether it be here back home or when next I go to Portugal. I would love to take a class just to get the basics, to be able to say more than just obrigado and like bon dia. It'd be nice to be able to do more than that. Because once you lead with that, people just start flowing and you're like, crap, that's as far as I know. I didn't mean to allude to the fact that I know what to do here. So it'd be nice to have some more repertoire in my bag. So definitely that was my takeaway. The good was, like I said, food was amazing. I feel restored. It reaffirmed for me the things that I love about solo travel, right? Because even in all those experiences I described, which may be deemed negative, the fact that I navigated it by myself and I came out of it, what I deemed successfully, it just reinforced an inner strength and confidence, which is what I always take away from solo travel. It'd be terrifying when you start, when you even plan to go, when you get there. But once you can mentally push past that phase, the next thing that kicks in is a realization of, oh, I'm doing it by myself. I'm doing it and I'm having a good time, like, whoa, look at me. So that definitely is a feeling I bring back every time. And I brought it back. And that was what I needed for the things I need to do at home. I needed that restoration. I need that reaffirmation. And I knew going away for a while would do that for me. The other good was meeting people. I met people on this trip that were not just lovely, but they're people I now am connected to. I learned a lot from. They were helpful to me. Like I think, that to me, every time you walk away, you meet a new person who, these are people that are nowhere geographically within my space that I would have happened to run into them. It just expands your world, like I've said in other videos. Expands your world, expands your thinking, etc., etc., etc. So, love that. And like I said, I was exposed to new art, new artists, new things that I just didn't know. So the plethora of the good is plentiful. The food, the drinks, the shopping, I deem good. My bank account doesn't, but I deem it good. So I'm gonna wrap all this up to say, this was the aftermath of solo travel. I think I'm still a big proponent for it. If you have questions, by all means, feel free to ask. But if you are considering it, and that's who really this video is for, is if there's someone sitting somewhere going, can I do it? I don't know. It's kind of scary, you know, etc., etc. And like I said, you don't have to start with a trip to Barcelona, Madrid, and Lisbon. Don't do that. I've been doing this for years. You can start with a simple like staycation in your area or a movie date for yourself, and then stretch it out. Then go domestic, etc., etc., and make your way to an international travel. But do it, and you'll be amazed what you learn about yourself. It's just it's just so rewarding, especially for women and especially for women of color. I think you just have to do it at least once in your lifetime and see how it goes. All right, that is my ramble for today. Like I said, I'm jet lagged. I probably look like it. I'm jet lagged. I need to go reset my system, which if you've ever done it, it takes a while. I could take pills and stuff. I get it. There are people who take pills on the plane. I don't believe in adding more stuff to my body than it needs, honestly. So I'll figure it out. I'm gonna sip my tea as usual, mind my business, drink my water, and I hope you're all having a good day. I hope you're staying safe. You're keeping your mind, heart, and soul healthy in these climates. And we'll see what the next one brings. All right, bye.